Welcome to today's webinar, Firstbeat Life for Research, Accurate HRV Data and Advanced Analytics. So our idea is to introduce the Firstbeat Life for Research method, tell what it is, and give a few examples of what kind of research it can be used for, and also what kind of information you get from that offering. And then we'll have some time for questions in the end. So our session is going to last 45 minutes altogether. And there's a Q&A box on your screen that you can write questions, and I'll keep an eye on that. And I'm Tina Hoffman from Firstbeat, exercise physiologist and master trainer, and I'm joined here today by Jakub Parak, who is our senior research engineer at Firstbeat, and he's actually going to be doing the main presentation after my sort of short introduction to Firstbeat, as we do have some quite new people online as well. And also Craig Huddleston is joining us from the UK, and he's going to be around in the end if there is some question specifically about how you can get started and things like that. So let's go to the next slide, Jakub. Just a few short words about Firstbeat because of the new people. So we are widely considered a pioneer in HRV and physiology-based coaching in sports and in wellness. Today, over 1,000 elite sports teams around the world use Firstbeat sports methods as part of their performance training to optimize the training and physical condition and recovery of their athletes in all the major sports, Premier League, Champions League, NHL, NBA, rugby, and a bunch of other sports. And then in addition to that, the Firstbeat Life solution that we are going to be talking about today is used by over 1,000 health and wellness partner companies around the world. So they are using the Firstbeat Life method in some way as part of the service and the coaching that they are offering. We have strong roots in science, over 20 years of heart rate variability research and data collection behind us, and that's what our methods today are built on, that kind of a long tradition of research. And if you are interested in reading more about the science background and sort of where we came from and looking at a bunch of white papers, so go to our website and find the science page there, and there's good information there. This is sort of our method of operations, our MO. Our aim is to understand how the human body works and then provide accurate insights about different aspects of performance, well-being, health, stress, recovery. And our idea is to package the heart rate variability analytics into a compelling, powerful user experience. So in that way, we go beyond the heart rate variability data itself, but turn it into such a format that people can get interesting user experience and insights about different aspects of their lifestyle from that. And the graph here on the right-hand side kind of shows what it is that we do. We always start off by collecting data in a laboratory situation. In the beginning, we did a lot of that to develop the basic algorithms based on that. Then we test and validate. And of course, to keep up with development and ongoing needs, we are constantly trying to improve and develop new methods. And then we go back to the laboratory and compare our methods to gold standards and different kind of laboratory measurements, and then develop these models that we are talking about today. The next slide. This is the Firstbeat Life solution, as some of you are familiar with. It's a method and a tool that provides accurate physiological data to personalize different kinds of coaching. Whether you're a health coach, wellness coach, maybe fitness or exercise coach, working in occupational health care, psychologist, nutritionist, whatever kind of coaching you do, the idea is that Firstbeat Life gives you an additional tool to your package that brings depth to your coaching. And the platform includes a personal measuring device. You can see a picture of the device in the picture here, Firstbeat Bodyguard 3, that measures your heartbeats very accurately. And then a Firstbeat Life mobile app that the client has. And whenever they do a measurement, their results are shown in the Firstbeat Life app in the area of stress and recovery and sleep and exercise, for example. And then in addition to that, to really sort of highlight and make this a powerful coaching tool, we have this Firstbeat Life admin tool or platform that allows the coach to access their clients' results and data. So they can have a discussion with the client, even if they are, for example, across the world or in a different city. They can see the client's results, see how they are doing, and then use that to have a coaching discussion with them. And of course, the admin portal also helps them manage the different kind of groups and projects that they're doing. So it's a tool for the professionals that helps them run this Firstbeat Life service. We also provide group reporting for clients or partners who are doing different kind of group projects, so anonymized summaries from how the group is doing in different aspects of well-being. So all that kind of constitutes the commercial Firstbeat Life model, and then the data export is for research clients. That's what Jakub is going to be talking about in just a little bit, but that's an additional feature that's available for those who are actually doing academic or more detailed research with heart rate variability or some aspect of that. All right, and a little bit of background on how we actually go from heart rate variability to stress and recovery, how the process goes that we go from the data into those kind of insights that I was talking about. So we start by measuring RR intervals, every beat of the heart, and movement in 3D. And then after that, we go through different signal processing and segmentation of data steps, artifact correction to make sure that we only use high quality data. And then based on that, our algorithms and decision trees, we use that, or the analysis process uses that to create a digital model of the body. It's personalized, sort of calibrated, adapted to each individual, so that it's not a universal process, but it's adapted to each individual's specific physiology. And the next picture actually kind of shows how that segmentation process, how that goes. So we start off on the top here with the HRV data and the 3D movement data from each user who is making the measurement within these input variables, their age, height, weight, gender, and their activity level. These are sort of plugged into the system. And then the data that we have, after it's gone through artifact correction and different kind of processing steps, then from that we can calculate a number of different heart rate variability indexes. We can accurately estimate their respiration frequency, their oxygen uptake throughout the measurement, their energy expenditure. These are all the things that we have created algorithms for in the early days so that we can accurately use HRV data to determine these different physiological variables. And then all of that is used to start segmenting the data into sort of coherent periods. Firstly, to see if there is moments in the measurement that contain clear signs of physical activity, some kind of exercise, oxygen uptake being elevated, movement data present, heart rate is elevated, heart rate variability is low, and then we identify that as physical activity. And then the segmentation continues to detect periods where the parasympathetic part of the nervous system is active or dominant, heart rate variability is high, heart rate is low, there is lack of movement, and those kind of periods are then identified as recovery. And then finally, sympathetic activation, which is sort of the stress part of the nervous system, heart rate elevated, heart rate variability low, and no significant movement, which differentiates it also from the physical activity, and that's then identified as stress. So that's kind of the process that we go through with each data set. And the next slide also one example of what that actually looks like in reality in a slightly bigger view. So this is a 24-hour data set that you can see here from approximately morning to next morning. The red color that you can see here, that's the so-called stress reaction, meaning that the sympathetic nervous system is dominant or active. It includes positive and negative stress, normal part of life. But then the green color is those segments where the parasympathetic part of the nervous system is dominant. Heart rate variability is high, heart rate is low for that individual. And then the blue segments mean exercise. The journal markings that you can see at the bottom of that, that's usually a key part of any kind of lifestyle coaching or project, because that helps the coach and the client understand how different things that they do during the day, how it actually shows up in the data, so they can understand what are the things that, for example, promote stress or push stress reactions to be higher, and what are the moments that help them recover. And this is the core or heart of the coaching discussion that coaches have with their clients to see what they can learn from that, and then do different kind of trials to learn more about that. But then when we go into the resource offering after this, I'll hand it over to Jakub, and he's going to tell how you can then go deeper than this if you're doing some kind of research with this kind of data. So go for it, Jakub.
Hey, thank you, Tina, for the introduction of the Firstbeat and also for the introduction of our technology and our analysis and the stuff. And I would like to continue something about the research applications of this analysis, what we are doing. I just can say that I have a doctoral degree from health informatics, and I was also partly using the Firstbeat stuff in my PhD thesis and my PhD research. So I'm quite familiar about that. So, but something about these recent applications, even if it's like mainly focused on the stress and recovery, the whole stuff, but it can be applied in the various areas. For example, like the physical activity can be utilized in the behavioral studies. Then general stress and recovery can be utilized in occupational and well-being related studies. The next can be something related to sleep, for example, some sleep hygiene and stuff, which is also partly the occupational well-being, but also the behavioral studies. Then very good thing is this possibility like apply this analysis for performance studies, and for example, which is the oxygen consumption. Same thing in the performance studies is the VO2 max, which is the maximum oxygen consumption stuff, or energy expenditure, which is very good thing in the nutrition focused studies. So the whole analysis can be applied in the different research areas. So it's not only about the stress and recovery, but the data what is provided with the tools can be applied in the several research areas. Regarding that, if we go further, like, yes, there is also this HRV RMSSD, which is the general physiological application stuff, of course, what we are supporting as the basics of the thing. But if we go further, I would like to show you some examples of research performed with Firstbeat wellness analysis. All of this stuff you can find on the Firstbeat website, of course, and even more. These are just the examples, and I would like to little bit like show you that there were the different application, different cohort of people, quite large number of subjects, which means that you can do it. It's quite scalable stuff, and you can perform the relatively large studies. For example, the first thing is about some emotional states in the adolescents and the young adults, which is about kind of physiological stuff, cohort study, and psychopathology. The next stuff very useful is the sleep time of the physiological recovery associated with heating habits, which is something from the occupational medicine. As you can see in these both studies, the number of subjects is relatively big, that the system is, or the whole tool, it's quite scalable, and it's good for do the study with the big N and the different cohorts. Very, I would say, famous study, which is promoted as the one of the example and the good examples, it was like promoted also in the media and the stuff, is the alcohol intake impact on the cardiovascular autonomic system, where was almost like more than 4,000 participants, and they were study like how many dosages of alcohol affects the recovery and the sleeping, and they were very interesting finding, and it was highly promoted, especially in the Finland, like to learn that what can be the effect of alcohol consumption. The next thing, which is like also interesting, is this physical activity and the heart rate variability based on the stress and recovery during the 9-month study period, which was quite long time study to see like what is the changes in the physical activity and heart rate variability based stress and recovery in the employees in the occupational health. The next examples which are coming, which are still like different cohort, for example, what we can see, it's like this lifestyle intervention and for enhanced well-being and their response for some metabolic syndrome risk. Another coming thing which is very important is like the activity level and the body mass index, which was like very big study. As you can see, it's almost 20,000 subjects, but I would like to notify here that it was done based on the anonymized Firstbeat collected data. So it was like used like the all data which were collected, and then it was just anonymized and published. So, but anyway, it's possible to do also this kind of the size of the studies for your research. This is a little bit smaller stuff, but different cohort. For example, the diabetes patients, where studies like this cardiorespiratory fitness estimation, which means like this oxygen consumption and partly also energy expenditure for the patients with the diabetes. Very interesting thing what was also for which was used the Firstbeat wellness analysis, but not so big but very recently useful thing. It was like some objective monitoring of some physiological evidence of escalating stress during the COVID-19 in the last years, and on the child welfare workers. And for example, the next example could be the measuring of some psychosocial stress with the heart rate variability methods in the different health and the age groups. And for this, it was used like mainly the patients with the diabetes and hypertension. So as you can see in all of these examples, that it's like that the whole tool it's quite scalable, can be used for relatively big number of participants in the study and in the different cohort. It doesn't mean that that it's only about the stress and recovery, but everything what is like established and estimated based on the heart rate variability and the physical activity and some other follow-up variables, for example, VO2 max, energy expenditure, and so on, can be useful in some kind of research study. So let's continue. So which kind of the option we have for you for your research at the moment, if you would like to use this tool? So for this, as Tina has been presenting in the beginning of the session, there is our Firstbeat Life, which contains from device and the online platform. The basics or the core of this is the Firstbeat Bodyguard free, which is the device which you have seen in the, and you will see it also in the next slides. So it's also with this device is designed for the Firstbeat Life platform, and also on the top of that you are able to collect the raw data, 3D acceleration, and the raw RRI intervals, which is like useful for any kind of the own analysis which you would like to do on your own beside using the Firstbeat variable output. And of course, as I was saying, there is this Firstbeat Light for research, which is the platform which can analyze the data which goes from the app or from the device over app to the cloud, and then you can get the export. We will come to there in the next slides, and then you can process the data in your cohort of the study. So little bit something about the device. Well, as I was saying, the device can be used as with the Firstbeat analysis online platform, and also it can be used as the standalone device as an additional feature. So what you can see that the Firstbeat Bodyguard 3 is a single lead ECG recorder. It is used with the 2 electrodes. You can, if you use it in the raw data, it means that you can collect the ECG acceleration or RRI intervals and then just via USB transfer the data to the computer, and you can do whatever analysis you had. The advantage of ECG is that it's, for example, unlikely to optical sensor. Is not dependent on the skin pigment, temperature, anatomy of the hand or something. It is like the basic ECG measurements, so you will get very accurate heart rate variability data. So it's and for the attaching to the body are used the 2 ECG electrodes, which are normal clinically validated electrode. We have also in package like different types of electrodes if you would like to do the stress test, if you would like to do, for example, the stress tests and so on. The device is certified as the consumer device. This is the most important stuff. It has the medical grade accuracy, but it is just the consumer device. It is not the medical device. And device is now certified for using officially in Europe, North America, like US, UK, Australia, and New Zealand, and China, just to be aware about that. But for that, it's like the certification as the consumer device obtained. So this was the BG3 device, which you can use as a standalone device in your research, or as you will see in the next slide, also as the device with this Firstbeat Life platform, which is the main purpose of that. Just a little bit of details about the device, that you have some idea about the accuracy. So as I was saying, there are the RR intervals, which are with 1 millisecond resolution, 3D acceleration, which is sampled with 25.6 Hertz and 16 bit per channel, and 1 channel ECG on the 256 Hertz. Sampling rate 18 bit per sample, and there is the high motion noise suppression high pass filter on 4.4 Hertz, which is optimal for the long-term wearable monitoring and especially for the heart rate variability analysis. The storage capacity for device, if you use only the heart rate variability, meaning RR intervals, it's up to 1 year. If you use the RR intervals and acceleration, it's more than 8 days. If you use all the raw data for the recording, it's 36 hours because there is a limitation of memory. The battery life for the single charge can be a little bit more than the 10 days. The charging time is the 75 minutes until if the battery is completely discharged and the device is charged. The very useful thing is weight only 26 grams, so it's very lightweight, and also the size is very small. So that was the optimization to make it like very for the unobtrusive stiffness measurements, and design it very smart that it would provide the good data and good option also like for the occupational use or the normal use for the coaches and the trainers, and also can be used for the researchers because of these features what it's providing. As I was saying, this device is used with this Firstbeat Life for research, or Firstbeat Life itself, which is the platform which is used for the trainers, coaches, occupational healthcare services on the commercial basis. And as you can see, there is a device, this single ECG recorder, where the data are transferred of the BLE to the mobile app and then to the Firstbeat cloud. And from the Firstbeat cloud, you can get with the admin tool, as you will have the research license, the export for the data. So all of the data which has been analyzed, all of the variables, it's possible to export from the cloud. you will see on the next slide, I will present you just examples of the variables which you can export, and there is plenty of stuff which you can get out of the system. But what is very important, this is the very same thing which is on the commercial basis, but on the research license, you can export the data and process it on your own and use it on your research and publish it and do what you like. The all analyses are fully automated, as I said, because it's a commercial product, and also like provides the way to collect data for prolonged periods and perform measurements easily and repeatedly. So if you, for example, have some study where you would like to do some follow-up or some longer monitoring, you can repeat the measurements very easily with the whole system, because you will just make the account for the users or the participants in the clouds. They will install the stuff to the mobile phone, and then they start collecting the data. So the main suitability is focused on the lifestyle related or intervention type of the studies. If we go a bit further, just to have the idea that which kind of data you can get out of this Firstbeat cloud, I mean the export of the data. There is a two type of data. You can get the scalar variables, which means for each measurements, which means like kind of the summary for the whole measurements as the one number. And then of course you can get also the vector variables, which are the timeline data, so you can be further analyzed. So if you do some kind of the intervention study or follow-up study or any kind of study, and you would like to see, for example, how energy expenditure is changed during the day, which kind of physical activity was there, what was the body resource change, how was the aerobic or anaerobic training effect, so you can see it in the time. And of course, then on the size of the scalars, you can also see like what was the total sleep duration, what was the average RMSSD as the physiological unit. You can see the total duration of the recovery stress, and so on. So there is plenty of variables that you can use in your research when you export the data.
Can I just jump in here real quick?
Yeah.
We had a couple of questions about this ahead of time, although we don't have time to go into the details of each variable in this session. But this week, our developers added a feature. So when you create this data export file from the admin portal, that's something that you can do yourself. It's very simple to do in the admin portal. It will, going forward after this week, it will include a document that has a short description for each of these variables, because it might not always be quite clear what variable means, but we have now added a description there. So that should make it a lot easier for you to actually start working with that.
Okay, thank you, Tina, for adding this information. So we will get also this kind of information which will help you to use the data and see what they are meaning, all of that. So that was the short kind of the summary of the device and the live platform, and which kind of data you can get just as the raw data from the device, and that's what kind of data you can get as the analysis out of the whole platform for your kind of the research or study. If we move forward, what we can see, what we have, like we created at the moment something called like the research package, which is the most suitable stuff what we consider as the most suitable stuff if you would like to do some kind of the research, some basic research. So the research package includes 10 pieces of bodyguard-free devices, which means that you can use these devices, including the raw data collection. For that is used the Firstbeat data exporter software on the top of the app and the cloud. There is just the one information that this raw data collection and the data collected for the analysis cannot be run simultaneously because of the security reason in the device. So you can configure the device to collect raw data from your computer, or you can use the device with the mobile app and then collect data to the cloud. And then you will have the output from the analysis that I was showing on the previous slide. But these two things are separate. And the main things are the security reason. And it will be not merged at any point because of security reasons. So I would like just clear this out. Then, of course, beside the devices, you will get in this package like 500 Kendall electrodes, which are the basic electrodes, which are used normally on the commercial basis. Of course, like when you would need to do something for a stress test, that's like for the further discussion, and we have also that options. Then what is the most important? You will get the 1-year research license for Firstbeat Life platform, which means that you will have all of the same features as our service providers, or meaning trainers, coaches, occupational healthcare services have, and all of our end user have. You can create unlimited number of user license accounts, or you have unlimited number of user licenses for each device. It means that you can recycle device in your research. You can use also device like for the 2 users. You can swap between them, and each user will have their own account, so the data will be collected separately. Then the most important thing, that you can do the data export from this analysis platform, where you get the scalar and vector variables. All is exported in the CSV format for the easy processing, that you can import it to MATLAB, Python, R, or any kind of the software you would like to use, or even use the Excel. So I said that you can get RRI series, artifact time in error, stress and recovery measures, this VO2 max, energy expenditure, and so on. Also, you can get this online training course, like how this platform and the result should be interpreted. It's the same thing as it's for the commercial users. It's not anything about specifically for the research, but like to understand what kind of stuff it's done. Onboarding call for the training, and the whole of this stuff, what is now in this package, what we call the research package, is offered for the little bit over 6,000 euros, like close to 6,400 euros. But there is the thing that if you are interested and you would like to make some like early buy until end of the year for your research, so you can get it for 5,700 with this kind of the webinar keyword or code for your order. But the most important, one of the thing is also, this is the package what we are recommending, because it has everything what you need to perform the study, and all of the features, devices, electrodes, licenses, and you can do whatever you like to do in your research. But of course, if you are interested in some more customized offer, then please contact our sales representative, which is Craig in this for that. So
yeah, and maybe Jakub, I'll jump in on the course a little bit, because
yeah.
I'm involved with that quite a bit. So like Jakub mentioned, the online training we provide, it is designed for coaches who use the Firstbeat Life in their coaching. So it goes through how to create subscriptions for clients, and how to understand the background of the method, what is stress, what is recovery, the red and green colors, and how to interpret all the different numbers and indexes in the Firstbeat Life app, so that you can provide effective coaching. And it is valuable for each researcher to have that understanding. I do recommend the course. If you are a researcher, it takes maybe 4, depending on how fast of a reader you are, it takes 4 or 5 hours to go through the whole course. And you'll notice right away that some parts of it are really more for commercial use, so then you don't really need to spend time on that. But it does not provide training on how to interpret the data export variables, for example. We don't have a course for that. So we are sort of assuming that you have the knowledge of how to do data analysis and how to deal with those kind of large data sets. So that part is not included in our training.
Yeah, thank you, Tina, for additional information. So I would say that from my side, it was everything. Like here you have the contact for us. And I think I will give a floor to Tina if there is some specific questions what needs to be answered or for the crack.
Yeah, thanks, Jakub. Lots of information, and I'm sure that when you are planning your own specific research project, then you can get in touch with us and find out exactly how it would work for you. And that package was just one way of getting started with 10 devices. But of course, we can create different kind of packages, whatever is needed. If you have questions, we have about 5 minutes left here, so you can, or almost 10 minutes left, so you can write them in the Q&A box and we'll answer them. I can go through a couple of the questions that we got ahead of time while waiting for questions. So one was, is this a medically certified device? And I think Jakub might already have touched upon that it is not, it's a consumer device or heart rate monitor, so it does not have medical certification. And then we had one other question had to do with that is this the same tech that is used, same tech and same algorithms that's used, for example, in Suunto and Garmin devices. And so maybe a couple words on that there are a lot of consumer devices that have Firstbeat algorithms inside of them, but that part of our business was actually purchased by Garmin a few years back. So the Firstbeat Wellness and Sport part, we work independently from them completely. We are an independent company in Finland. So there are, of course, many similarities because the Firstbeat sort of roots and background and science is in the background of both methods, but we don't know what are the different specific algorithms in, for example, Garmin devices, and they might look similar, but the accuracy of data is different, and also the factors going behind different indexes in a consumer wearable compared to Firstbeat are different. So it's good to understand that and not try to interpret them in the same way. There is a question here: can the device be used in the US? What did you say about that, Jakub? You mentioned something about that.
Yes, I was saying like, yes, the device can be used in the US, is certified as a consumer device, and it's also like certified with the FCC for using the radio and the stuff. And we are already importing the device to the US. So it can be used in the US, and it's already used in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Thanks for clarifying that. I think it might have been a little bit unclear earlier, but now it's clear. And yeah, actually one of the studies that Jakub shared was done in the US during the pandemic. It was a really interesting, a small group, but interesting study about the child welfare workers' well-being during that. So any other questions from people on the floor? Or Craig, do you have anything you want to add, or do you have any questions in mind that you want to clarify or ask?
No, I think it was quite comprehensive. Just to kind of pick up, I do a lot of work within America with a lot of universities, so very aware of the needs and the time zone differences between the US and Europe. So more than happy to jump on a call and just kind of talk about the protocols that each kind of research project might have, and how a product and how we can support each kind of project. So more than happy to jump on a call, but no specifics. I think that was relatively comprehensive. So yeah, no, really good. Well done, guys.
Good, thank you. And one of the questions that we had also ahead of time had to do with the app that does the test subject or the research subject always, do they have to have the phone to when they are collecting data? So there are ways around that. That is the standard model is so that the client who has the device has the app on their phone, and then as they are measuring, the data is accumulated onto the app, and that's where they get their result. But if there is a specific need for research where you don't want your subject to get any of the data, there are ways around it. It's not completely simple, but we have written sort of a protocol for that the researcher can, if you have some kind of research phones that you want to use, it is possible that you are sort of monitoring the the app part of the project, and the client can have the device on and the phone doesn't have to be on their body or with them while they are measuring. So if that's something that you need in your research, then get in touch with us and we can clarify that a little bit more. No other questions at this point. So I think unless Jakub or Craig, you have something to add, we can probably end a couple of minutes early. But from my part, thank you for joining the session, and hopefully you got some new information. And I certainly recommend visiting our website and our science site. You can read more about the different studies that have been done there and maybe get ideas for your own project. And yeah, then feel free to reach out to us when you want to ask more or want to get started. Thank you. I think if we are all done and no more questions, so goodbye to everybody. Have a great day, and we'll be in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.